everybody, it's Benji the Body Whisperer here, just coming to you from my Sunday, which is day 7 of 7 of my kind of get back into it after dengue fever, breakbone fever. Was out for about 3 weeks if if this is your first time checking in. But one thing that I like to do, and I just posted them here, is when I have a goal in mind that just requires repetition, something that's repetitive, like, workout for the day or whatever it is, maybe it's read for an hour. Typically I do it with working out, but you could use it for whatever, if you had a goal in mind. It's a great way to, for me, it's a great way to like chunk something up into, I may do 30 days, I may do 8 weeks, I may do like this, 7 days, just to kind of, the reason I did 7 for this was that I had kind of maintained and was in shape before I ended up getting dengue fever. So then what I was thinking about doing was kind of doing a little more than I was before. So before I was just doing my 12 minutes, that was just to get back into it, get the joints mobile, get the, get that, the fluidity, the stretching, the muscles, flexibility. So I just tried to up the ante a little bit this time and kind of jump start a little more because I had created that base, right? So if you haven't created a base, create the base, the 12 minutes a day. And what I'm going to do today is an example of that. I already did my stairs, so I climbed the stairs here. What I was doing was two times up, 25 floors. So up 25, down 25, up 25, down 25. Make sense? So it was very basic, so I just post-it notes for me just is a way for me to kind of like, and I like different colors because for me it means different things. There's no, like I don't keep this color scenario for all the times, but if I have a grouping, I like to maybe make it one color, or I'll keep the days one color or the weeks one color, depending, whatever works for you. So I chose and it's what I had to. I just had pink was the most that I had. So I just wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I kind of set up at the beginning of the week, kind of the goal in my head. I knew I wanted to do 2 flights of stairs, 12 minutes of my Spartacus, and then post the workout, I have a variety of different size like balls to roll out, because I have, I'm also combating or just kind of trying to triage, get a little bit more flexibility in my lower back, my rib cage, my hip flexors, which could be from an old injury, which it most likely is, from an injury that I sustained a fall when I was working with Walking with Dinosaurs, and that's now 8 years ago, but it still quote unquote haunts me because I think at the time I didn't take care of it correctly, so then not only did the injury happen, but then all the muscles compensated, and now for the last 8 years I'm just peeling back the layers deeper and deeper of all the muscles that were affected and try to compensate and help me get through that time. And now I'm just trying to get back to neutral. Make sense? But then I have old injuries from, back in the rugby football, American football days, and then, some injuries just from growing up on a farm. And those things, I think, are a part of it as well. I mean, we're a body and a system, right? And the system is pretty harsh and it's trying to, it's like gravity. We have, force, F equals ma. I mean, all the things, hitting stuff. It can be a dangerous thing. So I put that up, and I'm pretty proud of the fact and feel good that, as you can see, each day was crossed off, and I achieved that goal. So actually, I have to finish this, and then I will achieve that goal. So thank you for that time to just chat. I'm gonna grab my phone, which has the app for my Spartacus workout, which again is 1 minute on, 10 seconds off, or 15 seconds off for 10 minutes in the sense of like 10, 1 minute, 15, 1 minute, 15, 1 minute, 15. I do have a video on how to, I posted it on this page, or this channel. Search for Gym Boss and should pop up. But it's Gym Boss, GYMBOSS. It's an app on the app downloading tool on iPhone, and I would assume, I'm not exactly sure what the app downloading tool is on like an Android phone, but I'm sure that if you have an Android, you know where to go. So I'm just going to play this. And I've written on a board over here, I have a whiteboard on this wall, you can't see it, but I have 10 movements. And because I just did the stairs, I'm kind of steering clear of any kind of like squatting, just because it's just, I've had enough of that. So the first thing to start off with is just dropping from the spine, from the head, slowly rolling down the spine. And then once you get down to the bottom, you can give yourself a stretch there, paddle the feet back and forth, shake your head yes, nod your head no, paddle in the feet, swaying from side to side. Grab your elbows and then rolling back up, taking your time, and that's putting your shoulders back into place. And now break for 15 seconds. I came up, I'm a little lightheaded, I'll have to admit. So just take your time. If you need to, go to the floor. Now we're gonna do T push-ups. So just be careful on that one. T push-ups. And if you ever feel any kind of like lightheaded, or there's just, if this is too much, you can always modify to make it easier. It's less about, if you're just starting out, it's less about how much of a workout you feel, and it's more about showing up. Because really, what you're getting into is creating the habit of working out, of moving, of doing the thing that the goal that you've set, and doing little bits of it every single day, right? Just gonna take a little time here. It started to rain, and it's coming down. And that's it for that. I need to get a little broom. Now I'm gonna twist. Now find a little bit wider stance than hip width, and you're gonna reach up, out, out, down, down, side, back. There it is. Up. And the thing that you want to think about here is, if any of you ever play golf, or you've played softball, baseball, there's a beautiful movement, or if you've ever thrown bales of hay or used a pitchfork, there's a beautiful movement here that starts with the hip. Actually, it's down to the feet. I'm getting off here talking. But it's this whole idea of, like, if you look at how this is, you're twisting everything. And with our day-to-day, we tend to keep blocky, and because we sit at a computer like this most of the day, or a job just requires us to be like this, we tend not to twist as much. And all these muscles just start to get a little bit, best word I can say is just wonky. They don't get used, right? All right, so stretching out here. Taking your time. If you need to, come to your knees, elbows. You can also do kind of like a push-up there, and then rolling it back up. See, what I like about this one is it starts to engage the abs, but then it also, and one break, it also engages the, you also get in the hamstrings with that stretch with your feet out straight. All right, now we're gonna kind of do I like doing the point counterpoint a bit. And by that I mean, you know, the bicep pulls the muscle this way, tricep pulls it that way. So you always have these muscles that work kind of opposite each other. They fight each other. So if you have a muscle that's real tight, what tends to happen is you might have that muscle, the other muscle that is its opposite, might be really loose. So what you want to work on, rather than focusing on the places that you're really loose, focus on the places that you're tight, because the loose places need to get a little tighter and the tight places need to get a little looser, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. No. So, yeah. So it's more about balance and finding that balance. So we're on break now. So now I'm going to do two that are counter to each other. So first I'm going to do downward dog. So you want to go into a high plank, kind of taking the toes up and over the shoulders, drop it down into a push-up that stops just a little bit before the floor. You can also do chin, knees, toes, and then you want to go back into a downward dog. So if you can see what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get the heels as close to the floor as possible. And if you go further forward, the further back you go, it's a little bit harder. So find a nice, it's basically where you were at that plank. That's kind of the natural bit. So I'm just going to come out of that, and I'm going to do a mini actually kind of a boat, like an upside down boat, hands off, and then I'm just going to finish off with a little more downward dog and stepping the feet in, and now we're done. We're on break. Oh, it's really coming out down there, or coming down out there. So now we're going to do the opposition to that, which is cobra. So back into that plank position, dropping down into just chaturanga, and you're gonna just use the back muscles, feet off the floor. Now we're gonna do a mini cobra, and then we're gonna do full cobra. Shoulders down, relax your tongue, looking up to the ceiling, and just doing this and then I'm just gonna step through, going down, coming halfway up, back down, stretching the feet out again, going down, hold, uncurl your toes, just use your back and your feet, and up into full cobra. Relaxing back. Coming back in. Okay, we're on break now. Go ahead and stop. Walking your feet up. Perfect. Now I'm going to jump to the TheraBand. I just got mine hanging here. Careful if you. So with this, I tend to get about 30 in before I start to just kind of I don't want to call it burn out, because it's like you could keep going, but once you kind of start feeling that burn in the back, what I like to do is then stretch out the chest, which is the opposition to the back. So stretching out the chest, and then doing a few more of those just until you get that nice warm burn back here. Again, this is a spot where when we're up on computers, you know, people are like this all the time. And then stretching that out for the last 8 seconds here. And 3, 2, 1, and we're done with that. Now I'm going to go back to what I'm just going to call a V-sit. I'm not sure, I think there might be a different name for it, but it looks like a V to me. So laying down your back, okay, and then start. So we're just going to pull ourselves up, trying to keep your toes pointed, almost like a ballet dancer point, feet up, and you're balancing. And you're also thinking about pulling in, I know it's a hard thing to, they call it I think it's the floor of your pelvis. There's a muscle in there, almost, I think what they describe it as, I think I've been described, so now we're going into a boat, not just relax on the ground, stretching everything, stretch, relax, and back up to a boat for a couple seconds, pointing those toes. And now back up into it. As best you can, you know, there's different variations. You can put your feet up. You can see I'm starting to shake. It's not easy. And then back into the boat. And 3, 2, 1, and relax. Stretch, and up. Now, what I was trying to explain was kind of that, I think it's kind of described like as that feeling of like if you're trying to hold, if you had to go to the bathroom, I'll have to look it up. Basically, it's the roof, or it's the floor of your, he talks about in Pilates, like, that you have it's like your powerhouse, right? Joe Pilates talked about it being like, this is your powerhouse, it's the core, I know people refer to it the core, but he liked to call it the powerhouse in the sense that it's where everything kind of begins. I mean, when you think about it, it's our main hinge point, our hips. It's just so much that goes through those. And if, you know, I was listening to Dorian Yates the other day talk about back injuries and stuff, and he had some shoulder injuries, and he goes, I'd hate to have a back injury because, and he's a guy who had a huge back, he goes, I'd hate to have a back injury because everything starts, you know, goes through your spine, in that sense that no matter what you do throughout the day, if you're moving through space, if you're trying to walk, doing whatever, most everything, you know, it goes in your spine. So he says he wishes he could go back and change some shoulder injuries, but he would not trade it for a back injury. Yeah, so again, that's what I'm doing with these guys. 3 main kind of different size balls. I'm gonna do my stretches. I did post, I think, if this is the first one you're watching, a couple videos ago, like 3 videos ago, I posted something on how I roll out, and you can kind of see the example there. Basically, you know, I'll just do a quick, like the big one I might just put under my hip, and then I just find a tight spot and then I just sit on it. Try and relax, breathe. You know, I might put on like a 10-minute YouTube video or, you know, a program, and then just sit here and watch that, and then just kind of like, I'll go for about 30 seconds or whatever until it feels like it's loosened up, and then I'll, you know, maybe switch and I'll do the other side. But I find that if I consistently do this, so all week I've consistently done it, and I'm waking up in the morning with less hip tension, and because typically when I wake up in the morning, I'm kind of tight, so stuff is moving, stuff is loosening up, and I'm excited about that. So keep moving, people. Binge of the Body Whisperer out. Take care.